What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Uncle Frank. This is Team Beer Guts and Hop on Two Wheels, and it is the Tour de Beer, a different beer every day of Le Tour de France. It is stage 10. We are back to race action after a rest day. Very interesting stage today, and a new beer. I'm going to tell you about the beer, a little bit, or at least the story of the beers. So, it's actually fitting that I'm wearing a Bike MS t-shirt today. This is one of the first Bike MS rides that I ever did. So, I have someone that I know through Bike MS, and it's about the connections that you make as well as the bike rides and the funds raised. You meet people, and I know this person via Bike MS, via online. We've actually never met in person. And I was talking about the Tour de Beer, and it was one of those like, oh, that's a great idea. I'd love to try and do something like that, like a different beer each day. So he's a beer fan and a bike fan. This year we decided to trade beers. He is from the Mid-Atlantic area. I am here in New England, so we're trading beers. So this next slew of beers I've never had before. Breweries I've never had, probably never even heard of. And I might be drinking these all the way until the rest of the tour. There are a couple of days where I have beers planned for that day. This coming Saturday is one. The last day of the tour, I always have Saison DuPont. So there's a few that I be doing. But for the most part, I'm going to reach into the fridge and grab something different and see what we got. So today's beer is called River Day Wheats. It is an American wheat beer from the Bingo Beer Company in Richmond, Virginia. I did a quick Google search to try and find out how long they've been around or anything, and I couldn't find their established date. It does say on their website, a lager-focused brewery, and of course I have the American wheat beer, but there's other stuff in there. They have a hazy IPA. I feel like everybody has to have a hazy IPA, so... but this is an American wheat beer, and I'm very excited to try this, especially because on my latest podcast, that'll be dropping this Thursday, actually, that is called Hop on Two Wheels, I'm going to be talking about wheat beers. So a Tour de France recap. We've been doing this every day, but this is sort of since the last time I did a podcast, so 2 weeks, talking about the tour, talking about some other things, and talking about wheat beers in general. American wheat, Belgian wheat, or white beer, and Hefeweizen, which is your German wheat. Well, let's take a look at this River Day Wheat American wheat beer. I think I read 4.7% ABV. So American wheats typically are clear. They're not cloudy like their German counterparts. Your German wheat beer, your Hefeweizens, are super cloudy. This may be clear. Doesn't have to be. It could be unfiltered. Ooh, that's a hard pour. Hard pour. And yeah, we're looking clear. Slight, I'd say that's more chill haze. That's not a yeast haze or a Hefeweizen type haze. That is a chill haze going on in there. So it might be unfiltered. It might be just where this beer has been cold. Big fluffy white head. This is telling me a lot of carbonation going on it. Ooh, and that's an interesting aroma. That's nice. I did read about it. I thought that their hop choice on this is very interesting as well. So it's Pilsner malt and red wheat. Red wheat giving a slightly different color. If it was white wheat, it would be much brighter probably. This is not a lot of red wheat. It's slightly darker, but not that bad as I'm covering my face and you can't see what's going on. And one of the hops was Baba Rouge, which has a very different type of fruit note to it. Oh, that is super refreshing. That's American wheat beer. It's got some hoppiness to it. It also has Amarillo, which is typically in your pale ales and IPAs. But it's a mix of that and the Baba Rouge. And the Baba Rouge hop is giving a different, slightly cherry nutty note to this beer. The aroma is like hay and just base malt. Like if you took base malt and ground it up in your hands. There's a little bit of lemongrass, I'd say, on the flavor. And it dries. It dries out. It's a dry finish. where wheat beers will do that. It's one of the reasons wheat beers are, or wheat is used in certain beers. If you're trying to do a fruit beer, you should throw some wheat in it to dry it out, let the fruit come through. If you're doing a goza or some type of sour, you should throw some wheat in it. It dries it out. This dries it out, makes it very quaffable, very refreshing. This is the type of beer that the sprinters are going to want to have after they finish today's stage. So let's talk about today's stage. Day after the rest day, flat stage. Although when I looked at the profile, I didn't think it was the flattest stage, although commentary said it was the flattest. To me, it looked kind of lumpy, with a little kicker at the end. The end of the course was a long straight stretch, and then it turned to the left and turned to the right. Or maybe it's the right and the left. I think it's left and then right. Maybe that's just to make sure they're not doing 50 miles an hour to the finish line, because they were doing like 50 miles an hour heading into that spot. Not a lot of action going on beforehand. The intermediate sprint was slightly challenged. Whoever was in the breakaway wasn't much of a breakaway. There's really no breakaway. The entire race, no breakaway. I found that a little odd, but maybe they just knew it's flat and fast and they were going to get caught, so why bother? So yeah, intermediate sprint, a little bit in between. Your green jersey leader, I think, got second or third in there, so he's still kind of maintaining his points. That's Beniam Garmet. Then they start to chase to the end. Then they start getting really, really fast. Now, this particular area, from what they were talking about, and Mark Cavendish actually talked about it in his pre-race interview, is there's a crosswind. And you've got to be aware of the winds. And that crosswind can throw off what you want to do. So they were really racing for a position to get in place before that was going to have an effect. And that crosswind, because of the turn and then coming back into it once they were done, would actually kind of be at the tail, I think. But they needed to be able to have that crosswind in mind. Otherwise, you're way off the back and there's no way you're getting back into it. So a big group of sprinters going for it towards the end. And it ends up being Jasper Philipsen. Philipsen finally gets his win. It was kind of weird towards the end. At first, they thought that maybe he had moved over at one spot. And actually, it looked more like the road barriers came out into the road. They've got to do a better job at that. Like, keep everything straight. You don't want riders to move over into another rider into the barriers, obviously. But you got to have the barriers straight. You can't have barriers going like this and suddenly like, oh, we're just going to kick this out a little bit. Like, why? I don't understand that. I don't understand how things like that happen. That's just me. So, anyway, Jasper Philipsen finally gets it. And it did make me think of something. So, he rides for Alpecin. It's Deceuninck Alpecin. Now, if you remember before, it's Deceuninck Quickstep, and their nickname was the Wolfpack. But now Deceuninck Quickstep is split into Deceuninck Alpecin, and Quickstep is with Soudal. So who's the Wolfpack now? Is there no Wolfpack anymore? Like, I don't know. I just started thinking about that. It's not something I researched or saw. I don't see, like, things about YouTube about the Wolfpack, with Julian Alaphilippe, part of the Wolfpack. Who's the Wolfpack now? I don't know. It may be Jasper Philipsen's team with the Alpecin Deceuninck, because their lead-out train was perfect, and that's what the Wolfpack used to do. Perfect lead-out train all the time, and that's what they executed. It was well done. As far as Cavendish goes, his team was there. He was being led out, and at some point, somehow he got blocked out, and he was towards the back. Not the back, but in behind the group. And his lead-out guys had to pull off of the crowd and look for him to try and get to him and then pull him back. And at that point, it was probably just too late. I think, by looking at it a couple of times, when they pulled off, the peloton comes by. It's not like they could just jump right back in and be able to try and take him up again. He ended up passing them. And looking at it, I feel like it's almost like railing the berm, and take an old BMX term. If he knows he's got to go left and go right, he's on the outside. If you're on the inside of the turn, you can maybe get in here, get a little elbow in there. But if you're going to be on the outside of it, now those guys are coming up on the inside, now you're already past. So to be able to chase from there, you don't have your leaders to be able to get you back into the spot. To be able to come back this way, you're railing the berm, so to speak, constantly on the outside. He doesn't have a shot at it. You could tell he was disappointed. He's got one, maybe two more shots at trying to get another stage win. I'd love to see him get number 36. But so tomorrow, back into the mountains. But today was a day for the sprinters. And we are back into the Tour de France and the Tour de Beer. I am enjoying this American wheat beer. Oh, that's right. We got to talk about what I would pair this with. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It's refreshing. It's got as it's warming up a little bit, it's got a little bit of lemony character to it. Maybe, I know I've been talking about salmon a lot, but it's hot and it's summertime, so I eat a lot of seafood this time of year, and salads. I try to, so maybe with that, or if you're doing, say, let's do like a barbecue chicken, but you want a glaze, not a barbecue sauce, but a glaze, like a honey glaze, a ginger glaze. Ooh, that would be nice. Honey, ginger, hot honey, glazed on chicken, and then you have the effervescence of this to kind of cut through that. So that would be my opinion of what to pair with this beer. So there's the beer, there's the pairing, there is the stage review. We will see you tomorrow. Next stage, Tour de France, Tour de Beer. And don't forget, this coming Thursday, available on Podbean, is the next episode of the Hop on Two Wheels podcast. I'll see you the next time. Cheers.